I know that what you're after for a baby name is a name that everybody loves, but literally no one has thought of yet. Tell me I'm wrong. So I thought I would do a data list today. So I've crunched the numbers. This is from the UK and this is from all the babies registered last year. And I've looked at where we can find that name, and that is in the Rare But Rising. We love these videos, Rare But Rising. So you know that they're lower down the charts, but they're having their moment. So they're gonna boom soon. So get them on your list before somebody else pinches it. I'm SJ. Every single Monday I make name lists for inspiration and ideas for your little one. So do hit subscribe so you can follow throughout your whole pregnancy and just get loads of name inspiration. Or you can help me consulting in the comment section below by adding names to this list and also suggesting trending name themes because I love them and I will be doing a request very soon. So let's get on with the list. I'll start with the boys and I'm going to go which are the most popular in the charts and get rarer, but they're all rising. So top of the list is the name Luca. So Luca means bringer of light. It was one of the fastest trending names of last year, maybe after the Disney movie. It's just a really, really cool one. It's got a bit of a European edge and a lovely, lovely meaning. It went up 17 places, but it is at number 22 in the charts. And that's a massive jump. So imagine it could go, if it carries on its trajectory, it will be one of the top names we're hearing everywhere in 2024. Jude. Have you heard the name Jude a lot? I have heard Jude in a lot of baby name announcements and I'm here for it. I love it. Obviously, we all think of the Beatles song as well. It went up 13 places last year, which is a big jump this high up in the charts because it's now at number 40 in the UK and it means praised, which is also lush. Ronnie. This name that would have been so out is now so in. It went up 48 places to number 54 in the charts. So if it carries on again, this name is going to be everywhere next year. It actually comes from Ronald. No one's going with Ronald though, are they? And it's got the IE ending that we really love. So it's kind of got that vintage nickname as first name vibe to it. Oakley was another big trending name from last year. So it went up 15 spots, but it's still only at number 67. So I imagine this one's going to keep rising because it's got that outdoorsy nature vibe that we really, really like across the charts. And we're seeing that theme you can see throughout this list. I'd love you to pick up on the themes as well within this list because there's some really obvious ones, but I'd love to see how your brain goes towards the themes because it will help us do big themes and trends for next year as a community. Oakley, I absolutely loved it. My husband just couldn't get it over it being a brand name, so that kind of ruined it for me, but brands have really pinched a lot of these good ones. So we're getting rarer now. The name Blake. Really interestingly, it was rising for both girls and boys, and we know gender neutral gems are really popular at the moment. It went up 28 places for boys to number 74. It's got a really interesting meaning because it's got this duality where it means white and pale and black and dark. So it means all of those things. I so think of Blake Lively when I think of this name. I think it sounds really, really cool. I think it sounds very trendy for a little boy or a little girl, and it's that one syllable name. So if you have a longer surname, it's quite nice and simple. Totally different to that, but the name Alfred went up 11 spots to number 80 in the chart. So it's down the bottom, but coming up. And I think that for a long time, do you remember how popular Alfie was? That was like a fashion name a while ago. And I think Alfred, we just are going a little bit grander with it. And then he can be Freddie, he can be Alfie, maybe not Alf. Home and Away vibes from back in the whenever it was. But I love Alfred, and kids love it because of Batman and dads love it because of Batman. So I actually think it's a really cool choice, and there are some vintage gems coming up actually. Otis, another big hitter from a couple of years ago, showing no signs of going anywhere. It went up 15 spots to 81. It's quite nice because it means son of ode, and it's kind of got that poetry vibe to it as well, like ode to a swan. What's the poem? But also from TV, from Netflix, from Sex Education, which is back. So I predict this name will just continue going up. It's got the music vibe, it's very, very trendy, and I particularly love how it sounds, and it's so different from Oliver, which is really high up the charts. Rupert. I was impressed to see Rupert coming up. It's a name that I've always really liked, but I found it really Marmite. Some people, because I often suggest it to friends as a name and they're always like, oh, not sure. It just has different connotations. What's your connotation of Rupert? To me, I think it sounds really playful and kind of posh, but I think that Rue is such a lovely nickname that it's really, really playful as well. It went up 13 places last year to number 93, and it's a diminutive of Robert as well, as if you're honouring somebody and doing a tribute name. The next one as well, very similar. I think I prefer it though, and it's Reuben. Reuben went up 13 places to 110 in the charts, and now we're outside the top 100, guys. You can relax from here on if your name's on this list. I'm sure you're sat there with your list like, no, she said it. It's going to be too popular. I have to start again. But Reuben's so cute, and it means behold a son, which I always think is like the coolest name meaning. Miles. What do you reckon of Miles? Again, I reckon that that's a little controversial one. Some people love it, some people don't. It went up 30 places to 111, which is a big, big leap. And it's all of these I chose because they've been on that upward trajectory. They're not going down then up. They're sort of have been rare, but rising, hence the title. So in Latin, a soldier was called a miles, and the reason we call the distance, the measurement, a mile was because it was 1,000 strides of a soldier. So it's quite interesting, quite geeky, but I like the name. Again, I like it. And we went through a Milo stage as a nation a while ago, then we sort of went out of Milo. And Miles, I do love an S ending for boy names. And again, short and sweet, is that a trend? Let me know in the comments below. Bo, up 18 places to 131. So not such an outsider choice. And I actually think that's a really positive, because sometimes you might think, oh, is that a bit of an unusual name? It's a bit hard to spell. It's a little bit different with being so French, but we're loving it. People are all over Bo, but they're not brave enough. But you could be, because it's at 131. How about Leonardo? Wow, guys, Leonardo, loving it. Up 12 places last year to 116 and has been on that upward trajectory. So whether you're Da Vinci or DiCaprio, you're a Leo lion, which I'm into. River is one of the fastest rising gender neutral names for boys and girls. It went up 29 spots. This is in 1 year alone, and it's at number 119. So you imagine if it keeps leaping up, by the time these kids start school, River's going to be like a really common name if it continues up. And I really think it will for girls and boys. Axel, this was a massive trend last year. I can't wait for the new name list to come out. Went up 30 places to 138. It means father of peace. It's so Scandinavian. It's a very warrior Viking name. I just felt like it for us, because we're a Swedish family. I felt like it was a bit too obvious. But we also have a little sort of cousin son who's called Axel, which is really cool. But you guys are into it. It's really nice. Remy went up 42 places to 148, and it means oarsman, a real popular one we talked about before. Brody went up 45 places to 150. It can mean second son. So I wonder if people are liking it for their second little boys, or it means from a muddy place. So if you're into festivals, potentially, if you just live near lots of mud, if you're a country person. But Brody to me sounds, I just can't get over it being like the hills and being very like Californian-esque. Enzo went up 34 places to 151. Enzo's actually when you look back in its history, it comes from Henry, and then Henry went to Heinz, which another brand name. Let's bring back Heinz. Who's gonna do it? Go on, you. Just say I just had to use Heinz because someone's got to do it. And then it went to Enzo. I think Enzo is very cool, very preppy as well. I feel like there's sort of a preppy vibe going on. Kit went up 31 places to 161. Love it. The nickname is first name trend. Kit short for Christopher. Kit is also baby fox, so that I love it for that reason as well. Last three. So these are the three rarest but rising names. Otto. We just talked about the name Otto 2 videos ago. I did quiet luxury names. So if this is your vibe, go back and watch that video as well, because there's boy and girl names around that trend and that feeling, which is a big trend for next year. It went up a massive 50 spaces to 162. So you can imagine if it keeps leaping so quickly, and I think it will, because I feel like it's being heard a lot. My nephew is called Otto, very trendy names in my family, and my sister-in-law Stina, she's like, I'd never heard it, and now there's loads of Otto. So that's in Sweden. So it's coming here soon. So do still go with it. I think it's very similar to Finn, which is my second baby's name. And I did have Otto on my list for my third, funnily enough, and then she went with it. I have to write into my own dilemma show. But I think it's really, really cool. But I am not worried about Finn. Was really popular after I chose it, and it freaked me out a little bit. I was a bit disappointed, but I still don't know many other Finns, and it suits him and I love it. So always still go with it. Sydney is the second rarest riser, and I went through the whole top lists right down to the bottom. Sydney went up 34 places, but it's still only at number 168. It means Riverside Meadow, which is really, really cool, isn't it? I love that. And I like the fact that it's different from Stanley, which we're hearing a little bit more vintage vibe. Sydney's got a tiny bit more of an urban edge to it because, of course, we think of the city as well. So it's got a kind of traveller vibe, vintage vibe, and it's gender neutral. So I can see why it's hitting a lot of ticks for you guys. Does it hit your list? And what about Able? So my daughter, actually, she's just started school. She has an Able in her class, which is really lovely. It went up 32 places last year. There were even 3 girls named Able last year. But for boys, it's now at number 178, an Old Testament name. He was the son of Adam and Eve, who was killed by his brother, Cain. But, you know, we don't hold it against the name Eve, do we? Maybe to think of that when you're picking siblings. So I like Able. I am here for it. Do we still have time to do the girls? You're all right to hang in here a little bit longer, aren't you? Right, let's do the girls. Okay, so you're going to start off, you'll be knowing some of these. And then we're going to go rarer. So Delilah. Delilah, I've loved it for a few years, so have you guys, and it's, you know, we were talking about this ages ago over here at Baby Name Mondays, but everyone's caught up. We predicted it went up 40 places in the last 5 years. It's now at number 50. There were 981 babies called Delilah. So the chances are, in a huge population, names are getting, you need to be, less people need to be called a name for it to be very popular. So before it might be that there were 10,000 Olivers to make it the #1 spot. Now there's under 4,000 Olivers and it's still the number, well, now it's Noah, so ignore what I'm saying. But the point is, right, that you need less babies called the same name because there's so many more names. Because of like us guys being brave and unique, there's just more names coming down the chart. So there's a baby name boom, which is Lush. Margot, we've all heard it. Margot went up 23 places. I'm wondering if this might see a bit of a plateau now. It'll be really interesting to see how it goes. Obviously, Margot Robbie, I do think, is the huge inspiration behind this name because girls, I think women have always had the name Margot, but maybe men not so much. And she's sort of really united us, as she does on everything. We now all love Barbie as well. But actually interesting, Margot is neck and neck with Mabel in the charts now. So those two names are kind of competing, and I'm wondering if they're gonna go up or down. What do you think? Maeve as well. Maeve went up 430 places. Am I right there? To number 77. It means intoxicating. Maybe I was intoxicated when I wrote that stat. I will let you know in the comments below. But it is massive. It's absolutely huge. To make it more unique, you can do Mava, put the A at the end. Again, this was a name that was so unheard of a while ago, so I'm wondering if it's going to be like a very fast fashion name and go back out again, but it's a beautiful one. So, are we getting outside the top 100 now? Pens at the ready. I'll whisper them so no one else knows, just between us. Nelly. Whoa, Nelly. I love Nelly Furtado, and she's back. That's super cool. The name went up 80 places last year. It's at number 101 at the moment, and it's got the vintage nickname IE ending that you see so much higher up the charts, but much more unique. So if you're thinking of going with a Evie or a Maisie and you're into that vibe, then thinking about Nelly a little bit lower down could be the one for you. Indie. It's really crazy to see how popular indie has become. Like, it's becoming much more mainstream, which I love. Joe Wicks has a little daughter called Indie, and she's gorgeous, and I think that makes it like we hear it a lot more. But I know a lot of little indies. Do you? It went up at 111 places in the last 5 years. So we're looking at the whole decade. It's one of our kind of big names of what will be the decade. But 52 places last year alone, exclamation mark I've written there. LOL. It's at number 114, but it's likely to be a top 100 place next year. Ophelia. See, I reckon these are really surprising now. I knew an Ophelia, my friend had an Ophelia a few years ago, just before I even had my daughter, and I was like, wow, that is an out there name. And now she predicted it, she was trending it, and I wonder if that's because we're associating it less with the tragic heroine, but also that heroine, dark heroine theme that we covered a while ago. I will link that video below. Is really, really popular, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful name that is a variation of Olivia, which has been number 1 for so long. So people quickly bounced onto Ophelia. It went up 64 places last year, and it means aid or to benefit. So it's a lovely, lovely name, very literary, hits a lot of trends, as I just said. Nora. This was on one of my very first name lists because I absolutely loved it. I worked with a girl called Nora. That's one of my catchphrases. It went up 30 places last year to 123. So if it carries on, Nora will be in the top 100, which is lush. It means shining light. Is that a little theme, do you think, with all these names? The next name went up 31 places last year, which is huge, to 135, and it's the name Anastasia. This was a childhood crush name of mine. Who didn't want to be Lost Princess Anastasia? Definitely me, which is kind of a tragic tale to like wish that I was a part of, dream myself into, the only surviving royal. But it's a beautiful name. It's very, very grand. I can see why it's really popular, and I actually adore the nickname Annie, and Annie's going up the charts. I just think that's absolutely amazing. It means resurrection, interestingly. Cleo, another crush of mine, went up 42 places last year. It's now at number 138. So again, it's inching its way to the bottom of the top 100, which is super cool. It's super rare, but it is rising. Isn't it the fish in Pinocchio as well? Random fact. It means to praise or acclaim, obviously short for Cleopatra, another one of our dark heroine names. Is that a trend? Cleopatra coming at you again in 2024 as a baby name. Harlow up 42 places to 142. Yay, I love this name so much. I absolutely love it. It means from the Rocky Hills. It's a rare nature name. I think it's really gender neutral as well. I absolutely adore this name so much. I don't know why, it's just got such a 70s cougar name vibe to me. That's just totally what I picture. Alba went up 28 places to 145, meaning pale or white. Polly went up 50 places to 156. A vintage one on the rise. It means Star of the Sea. He used to just be a nickname, so it was the nickname of, there was Mary, of course, which was such a huge name back, like I guess in like the 40s, 50s for enduringly a long time. Mary was one of our top girl names in the UK for obvious reasons, and then it went to Molly and Polly are sort of diminutives of that name. So it's really interesting to see Polly come up so much. I feel like these playful vintage is definitely where people are at. Primrose went up 73 places to 162. Again, one of my crush names, meaning first rose. If you follow me over on TikTok, because I started the TikTok, I'm doing baby name consultancies, and one of them I recommended First Rose as a way of honouring her grandmother, who was called Rose, and I just think Primrose is beautiful. Very similar to the next one, Clementine, which went up 80 places to 175. So if you've always thought it's Clementine, a little bit out there, will I be able to use it, especially if you're pregnant now, you might be having a Christmas baby. Well, no, I'm all for a theme. Let me tell you, I do love the name Clementine, but I don't love the nickname Clemmy because it sounds like clammy to me. So let me know below, what other nicknames would you go with for Clementine? Or do you just really like Clemmy as well? And there, I'm at the end actually. I'm at the end, I completed it. Good, because I've been talking forever. Thank you so much for being here for this rare but rising name list. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone else about these names. It's just for our community. But if you want to share it with all your friends, then, you know, that would help me out. If you've already got your names and you're like, hey, everyone, this is what's coming up in the chat. I always think it's a really interesting topic and I love chatting to you below, so do say hello. And I'll be back next week with another name list. If you cannot wait, then do find me over on TikTok doing name dilemmas, which are quite fun. That's where I am right now. I'm so happy to be back. I love doing Baby Name Mondays again. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. So many of you are not subscribed, and that's just a way of helping me to grow my channel. And I'll see you on my next video. Bye guys.